Mercedes is off to a bad start for the 2023 season, and time is ticking down for the 7-time world champion to win what he's fighting for, the record-breaking 8th crown. However, with the Silver Arrows not being the best providers for the championship-winning car, and with Ferrari actually emerging as a team that has the car but doesn't have the crew to win a championship, could we see Hamilton making a move for his own glory and trying to be successful with Ferrari? Now, given how Leclerc's stance is with the Maranello team, this isn't too far-fetched of a scenario, and very likely we'll have some interesting seasons in terms of drivers' lineups in the near future. Lewis Hamilton has expressed his disagreement with Mercedes' design of the car, and the fact that they kept doing it for 2 consecutive years goes on to show that the Briton may not have the full trust in the team that they would be able to win a championship after all. After the controversial end of the 2021 season, Hamilton's last hope was that Mercedes would be able to bring the guns out with the new regulations, and even though the innovation in the no-pod side-pod design was very visible, and we thought that the season was over before it even started, we were proven wrong from the very first moment the W13 got on the track. Hamilton urged the team continuously that the design wouldn't work, and things got to the point where F1 experts suggested that there are 2 W13s currently being built in Brackley. One that would suit Russell, who managed to drive the wheels off the troublesome car, while the other one would suit Hamilton's needs more. Given the budget cap cost and the development issues, this was quickly diminished as Mercedes disrespected Hamilton once more by moving with the design that Russell was more keen on. Now, fast forward to 2023, and we have both Hamilton and Russell not being happy with the W14. This time with all of the different reasons compared to 2022. The Britons weren't happy with the amount of drag the car has gained and the increased instability of it. And while the team was fixing the underlying issue of bottoming out and porpoising due to the increased rear end of the car, they kind of overworked on it. Now the W14 has a very strong front end and the rear downforce is as good as gone, and that's been pointed out yet again by Hamilton in a recent interview. So why are we saying all of these things? It's not frequent that Hamilton goes on a rant against his team, and even when he does, he's often quick to apologise for his actions. That was the thing back in Zandvoort last year, when Hamilton told the coach that the team screwed him with the tactics, only to go on and apologise for everything he said due to the adrenaline rush in his head. Now, although he did apologise for saying that the team didn't listen to him when they should have, and as a 7-time world champion, he knows what a car needs and what it doesn't, the fact that he's continuously bashed Mercedes for their decisions couldn't help but make us think, is Hamilton fed up with the team? The teammate next to him outperformed him in 2022, and while it was due to different setup settings, Russell was quick to defend himself and say that every driver picks his own setup. So if Hamilton did bad with the car, it's purely his fault and not on him playing the guinea pig role. As 2023 started, it seems like Russell is yet again enjoying a car that isn't reaching its full potential, with him outperforming the Briton 2 times this year and finishing ahead of him in Jeddah, close to the Aston Martin of Alonso. With this in mind, Hamilton's tenure at Mercedes may be good as gone, and the fact that he hasn't signed a contract extension when the season is already underway goes to show that Hamilton is looking in every direction possible. And this has been confirmed by Toto Wolff himself. The Austrian team principal did say that while nothing would delight him more than Hamilton returning to Mercedes for a couple of more seasons, he's aware that the team isn't able to challenge Red Bull at the top, which is something they won't likely do in the entirety of 2023, according to Wolff. And that's why Hamilton needs to look in another direction. He does understand that if Hamilton decides to make a move to another team, such as Ferrari, it would be purely because he doesn't have much time left in his racing career. And now it's not the time to play the salvage guy, and the one that would be experimented on, something that the 7-time world champion understands very well. Luckily for Hamilton, there is a team that currently struggles to keep up with Red Bull and, contrary to Mercedes, has one of the fastest cars on the grid. Ferrari have been racking up decent results throughout free practices and speed traps, but for some reason the Scuderia doesn't seem to understand why they cannot take on the fight with Red Bull. While many thought that with the arrival of Frederic Vasseur everything was going to drastically change, that that turned out to be horribly wrong. And at this point, we keep asking ourselves, will Hamilton's presence make the team an instant championship winning one? After all, he does know what a car needs with his experience, as he said in his own words, and that's been confirmed by Eddie Jordan as well. The former F1 team boss thinks that the sport truly needs Mercedes and Ferrari to come along and make this deal happen, with Hamilton and Leclerc swapping places and trying out their luck in other teams. When talking about this matter, the legendary F1 boss said, "F1 needs Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari, and Ferrari needs Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton should look to go to another championship-winning team, but the drama is who's going to move aside. Red Bull will not let Sergio Perez for Hamilton because they try to encourage drivers that have been through their teams to try and reach the top like Verstappen did. The only other place I see Hamilton going is Ferrari, or staying at Mercedes. At the moment, there is no contract signed, and Wolff said that if he was Hamilton, he would consider leaving. What would I be thinking if I was Hamilton? Am I really loved here? What is actually happening in Mercedes?" Although Hamilton did bring the team to places that no other driver could have, ever since the turbo hybrid era started, it's evident that the fact that they didn't listen to him when it mattered the most isn't sitting right with the 7-time world champion. He's spending one of his last racing careers with Mercedes, and when he spoke about the design of the car, we couldn't help but wonder, why did Mercedes go the way of Russell? The fact that he was instantly delivering good results with the car looked promising, but when a 7-time world champion says that something isn't the way it should be, the last thing you need to do is disrespect him and take the design one step further in 2023, when you have a brand new chance of rebuilding the entire car and go for a legitimate championship shot. Eddie continued to speak about whether Hamilton would consider himself happy in Mercedes right now, as he went on to elaborate further. "I'm not in the thick of things like I used to be. I don't know Wolff's point of view on the situation, but I do believe when he says he wants Hamilton to stay, but the Mercedes is not good enough for Hamilton." As for the swap between Leclerc and Hamilton, Jordan said that it would definitely be one of the most interesting things that could happen to Formula 1, and the fact that Leclerc is the exact type of driver that Mercedes needs just goes on to prove his point. Furthermore, he went on to add, "Now that would be interesting. Leclerc is very much a Mercedes type of driver, and to see Leclerc and Russell fight it out would be great. That could be a deal in heaven. I know Leclerc quite well as a person and he's magnificent, but so is Hamilton, so who is to say it would be any different? I'm sure everyone in F1 would love to see a swap between Hamilton and Leclerc. That would be mouthwatering. When I dream of Hamilton going to Ferrari, it's just a thought because he's won 6 world championship titles with Mercedes, so he might want to stay. Then again, all the great drivers would feel the pull of a great team. Ferrari, that's where I think Hamilton should end up." With this in mind, it's evident that Hamilton will have a very interesting period ahead of him, and whether he'll be able to pull up the strings and go for this career-changing move, only time will tell. One thing is for sure, Hamilton isn't a very happy man in Mercedes right now, and with the dynamics of things, that may change very soon. So what do you think about Hamilton going to Ferrari? Let us know in the comments down below.